Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is a chat with HIM about health information management. We're a chat with him about health information management. I am the guest co-host for today, Dr. S.K. Moreland, and I am here with Mr. Please tell me how to say your last name correctly. I do not want to butcher it.
That's fine. This is George Redd-Hachey.
Mr. George Redd-Hachey. And I'm really excited about this conversation to learn more about what your experience has been as a male in HIM. So we'll go ahead and get started. First question, the why. Why did you choose HIM?
Well, my HIM journey started many years ago. I actually joined the United States Air Force directly after high school. And my plan was to go into air traffic control school. And as it turns out, my visual depth perception was not good. And essentially, I was asked to choose another career field based on my testing results and the needs of the Air Force at that time. And I chose a job specialty called medical administration specialist. And essentially, it was working in a medical records department in the Air Force. And that led to working in HIM, getting into coding, learning to file, and all sorts of things in the HIM field. Uh, and after that, I was able to continue my career after I got out of the service. And it's been about 35 years since then.
Wow, that's a really long time. Okay, so question two, how did you land your first job in the field?
So after I got out of the Air Force, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do, and I did do a couple of different jobs. I took some temp jobs and sort of data entry and different things like that. And then I found out that hospitals at that time were really looking for people that had any kind of experience with medical coding, and they were willing to train coders, sort of full time on the job training, I would call it, where they would bring you in and you would code accounts, and you'd be under 100% review, and this training process would last for about a year. And so I applied and was accepted at a hospital in Massachusetts where I grew up. And that was my first job as a full-time coder. And yeah, I think that was a great opportunity. And I was really trained by some very experienced and knowledgeable coders. This is back in the days, of course, before electronic medical records, and really computers were just starting to be a thing in those days. We would code on paper forms with pencils and paper charts and all that. But
Oh,
that was my first full-time HIM job in the civilian world.
okay, question three, the what? So what has the journey been like for you?
For me, this has been the most amazing career. Um, so I think about, well, I have 4 kids, and when we have conversations as they're growing up about career, I talk to them about, imagine if money didn't exist. What would you do? What would be your career if you didn't have to worry about money? What would you do with your time? Whatever that thing is, or some version of that, is probably what you should do for a job, because it won't really feel like work for you. And so for me personally, being online and working with information is sort of what I do, whether I'm at work or not. So it feels very natural to me, and it doesn't really feel like work. So for me, it's the luckiest thing in the world. And I always thought, that hospitals, where I spent the majority of my career, are willing to give me a place, an office with computer equipment and electricity and air conditioning, and pay me to move information around. And now I can even do it from home. And I just think it's the greatest thing in the world that I can do essentially what I was going to be doing anyway. And they send me a check every 2 weeks. I just think it's tremendous.
That's the life, isn't it?
It really is.
So question for the where do you want your career in HIM to take you?
That's a great question. Now, the truth is, I'm at least in the second half of my career, right? Uh, and every my current job and my previous job just before it are places where my career took me that I didn't think that it would. They were both sort of unpredictable stops. And so I don't know if my current job is my last job. It might be, but it might not be. But I've learned over the past couple of years not to try to predict those things, especially at this point in my career. Most of my career was spent as a coder and then a coding supervisor and manager for many years. And I was given the opportunity to sort of cross over and become an HIM director. Um, and that was a career step that I hadn't planned on originally, but the opportunity arose, and I was able to succeeding in making that step, and that was really valuable for my own professional development. And then from that position, my current position came open, and I wasn't really looking for a new position. I wasn't looking to change organizations, but this position was on a more national scale and a higher profile with a bigger company. And I was successful in obtaining that position as well. So I have really no idea if there are more stops on this career journey for me or not, but I do believe in taking risks and sort of being open to opportunities as they present themselves.
Love it. So question 5, last question. What advice would you give to other men looking to start a transition into this profession?
Well, I do think that there are more men in this field every year. It's still a small minority, but it's not as rare as it used to be. I would tell men that this is a great career field, not to be intimidated by the fact that men are still a minority in the HIM field. Um, yeah, I think that there are some really good aspects of working in a mostly female-dominated workspace. Um, being a man in a sort of female field gives you some unique qualities just by being a little bit different than most of the other people around you, in the way that you maybe in the way that you think, or in the way that you relate to your colleagues. So I've always taken it as an advantage instead of a disadvantage. So my advice would be to look at it as a positive, not to be intimidated by that, and it's worked well for me.
I love it. Well, I want to thank you for your time with us today. Thank you for giving us your advice and sharing your career journey with us. And I think that you gave some really great advice to the men out there looking to break into the field. So thank you.
Excellent. You're very welcome.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.